Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video lesson, I'm going to be taking some random scraps from other projects and create a small piece of art. I'm going to be working on a piece of scrapbook paper that's just got that on it. I'm going to show a step and then I already have a piece that's prepared to save time. So any type of paper you've got. I've got a Dragonfly that was gifted to me by my friend Allison. Thank you, Allison. Oh, and the paper mache letter D for Dragonfly. I tore out a vintage piece for something else, and I was thinking, well, instead of throwing this out into the blue box, what can I do with this? So I'm going to use that. The colors going to be using, so we're going to use let me change that up. Supplies I'm going to be using are Decor Media White Gesso, Decor Dazzling Metallics Copper, Decor Media Crackle Paint White, Decor Media Fluid Acrylics, Hanty Yellow Medium, Interference Violet, and the Decor Media Matte Medium. I should have put everything into one order, that way it was easier to say, but I have them in a specific order how I want to use them. So let's just get right into it. First thing I'm going to do is so if you got any type of thinner paper, what you want to do is you want to gesso it first to create some adhesion. Because we're going to be using some Crackle Paint, it's always a good idea to have a good base. Now this is the super thick gesso that I have, and because it will also create some texture. And if your gesso though is really thin, you just can leave it open or put it into another container, leave it open, stir it every hour to start, and then more frequently as the moisture starts to evaporate, and that way you'll have gesso that's really thick. If you have gesso that's too thick, you can always thin it down, but if the gesso is thin to start with, then it takes a little bit of extra work. So I could leave it like that, and that gets some really nice texture in there. Put that aside to dry, cover that up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put on some I have to paint a piece, but I want to show you what happens first. So I did paint these pieces with the Decor Copper, and then I let them dry, and then I applied the Crackle Paint, and I've got a piece already done. So what happens when you use Crackle Paint, you'll never get a predicted result because it all depends on the humidity and air temperature. So this is one that I did, and I got minimal cracking over on the side. First of all, not enough Crackle Paint, and I put this in an area that was very cold in the room. It was right next to the window, so it just dried really slow, so it didn't really have time to crack. This one here, again, now this one here I put paint on thicker in some parts, but I put it closer to the furnace vent, so it would really dry and crack quickly. You can try using heat gun. I don't know how that would work. You'd have to experiment, but so that's some things that you can do. So basically, I'm just going to paint right over this one. I just took the copper paint and just applied paint right to the gessoed piece. We're going to pretend this is gesso and not the metallic. And I can leave some parts thick. That's fine. Doesn't matter, because we're going to have, this is going to be part of a background that's going to have the Crackle Paint in it. So that's fine. So now we're going to let that dry. Once that's dry, what you want to do is clean up my table. Oh, come on. Once that's dry, what you want to do is you want to take the Crackle Paint, and I'm going to do it right on this one. And you want to apply, you can use a brush. I can use a palette knife as well. And I could just take that and just put that on there, and you can choose to apply it thickly, or I'm going to leave it like that. And then we're going to get, where it's really thick, you're going to get some really heavy cracks. Okay? Before you even touch this, don't overwork it, but just leave it to dry for a couple of days. Put that aside. And then what you're going to get is once everything is dry, now this is shiny because I have some other medium on top, you're going to get these types of cracks. Okay, so some parts I had it really, really thin, some parts I had it thick. You can use paper towel to wipe off. You can put some gesso on there. It doesn't really matter. What you can also do is just have your card painted with the copper, put on some gesso, wipe it back, and then use a clear crackle paint. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. And I believe there's a video I have where I made, I think, 4 or 6 pieces with all different crackle products to show you the different effects. So there you go. Now use triple thick on top of here, because when the cracks are that thick, you can actually pick them off. So the triple thick actually just sets in and then seals everything, which is really, really nice. Without the triple thick, you could then take antique and cream. You can take additional metallic. You can take additional copper, and you can, put it on top. I wonder if I can. No, I'm not going to steal from that. Just a little bit. And then you can take a baby wipe, and that will go right inside the cracks to make it even stronger. Like that. So I kind of like that. And these things here, what you can do is use the same wipe over and over and over again for other stuff. And then once it's dry, you can give it a rinse to get rid of any of the cleaning properties in it, in the baby wipe, and then you can use that for art. That's going to go over there. All right, so I'm going to let that sit here, and I'm going to take the D, and I'm going to paint the D with a speck of yellow. Is that going to be enough? So this is the Hansi Yellow Medium of the Fluid Acrylics. You can use any paint you want. And I should have gessoed this first, because this paint is so translucent, especially on unfinished surfaces. This is turning green. It looks green to me. But it's up to you how you want to prepare. Now I'm putting this on here now, and I'm thinking, yeah, I probably should have gessoed. I could still let this dry and gesso it. That'll work just fine. You can put, you can even put like a texture product on here as well. You know what would be cool is if you took the clear crackle glaze and just poured, and then see what happens with that. You'd have to somehow raise that up. Maybe put a little bit of silicone on here and just let it dry like that. All right. The Dragonfly, I'm going to leave the way it is, but I'm going to put some interference on it. So let's put that over here. And I don't know if this is going to work. Oh yeah, it is. There you go. There we are. So this is the Interference Violet. Great way just to add a little extra something something to your piece. And that one there. Let's just put you there to dry. All right. Okay, this one here. I'm thinking what I want to do with that, and I didn't even bring the paint out. I want to make this a little bit darker. And are you dry yet? So I'm looking at doing that, but because the paper's smaller, I want to use the opportunity to have that as a frame. And it's a matter now, do I want to cut the white border off, or do I want to tear the paper, or do I want to just paint it? I think I'm just going to paint this. And oh goodness, I'm good. Where's my ultramarine blue? Ultramarine blue. I'm going to take ultramarine blue and transparent red iron oxide. So yep, I forgot. And if you don't have transparent red iron oxide, use a burnt sienna with some medium. You can use quinacridone burnt orange with sap green and raw umber. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can use. I just want to get something almost like a Payne's gray. Perfect. See how this turns out. So it shows up as a little bit of a border. I want to see some of that background still showing through, cover up all the tear marks. And you can do this basically as many layers as you want. If you want it fully transparent, if you want it showing through, you can do different layers. I want to try to cover some of that edge, that white paper edge. So just do many layers of the dark on the edge, and it'll let you just disappear. So that way I'm not wasting. This little piece won't end up in my blue box. Okay, well, you're gonna have to sit there to dry. All right, now we are ready to assemble once everything is dry. One thing I forgot to do is I want to take some more interference, and I want to use a clean brush, and I want to apply a layer of interference on this card or this scrap paper. Oh, look at that. Boy, does that make this pop. Oh my, okay. Let's see if I can show this to you. There's nothing here. Look at that. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I can. So where? Look at that. I really hope that you can see this. That interference really works well when you're working on a dark background. There you go. It's the way the light hits it. Then I'm going to take the leftover so there's no waste and put it on this. And this just gives a bit of a shimmer. There we go. And, oh, you know what? Let's take the leftover and just put it on here. I just don't want to waste it. See what happens. Some of the best pieces that you work with turn out really nice when you do something unexpected. Lovely. I don't know. Let's just take this and let's just take that and just put that on there. Now, if you've taken my color mixing courses, you know what I'm doing right now is I'm making mud. Here we go. Put you over there. And as you see when I'm wiping down my palette paper, it gets harder and harder to clean. It gets to a point where, because this is not expensive palette paper, this is cheap palette paper, you end up sort of taking off the layer on the top, and then there's the medium that's on there as well. And it just ends up where you just can't clean it. But you can use it in art. So there's this. I don't know. I think that's going to need some blue. That's gross. All right. So let's I'm going to give this a couple of minutes to dry. Then we'll just assemble everything together. I forgot to bring out a quote. I'm going to use the quote, "You understand how to have fun with others and to enjoy your solitude." And the solitude right now is getting through the grief of chaos not being here anymore. So dragonflies, I think, are pretty solitary. So I thought that was kind of a nice quote to use with that. And I'm going to take StazOn ink, and I cut this down pretty short. Let's take this one. And I'm just going to take the StazOn ink, and I'm just going to edge. You know what? I'm not liking the black. I'm not liking the black. Let's take Vintage Photo, one of these distress inks. And the distress inks is another thing. I shouldn't have did that. Is there anything left on that? Yeah, there is. I should have did that because I had the StazOn on the that little wipe thing. One thing I don't like about these distress ones, they're not waterproof. But the colors are absolutely outstanding. And if you don't have inks, than use paint. I was just, right now, lazy. Because I used up all the paint. I could have used that black that I smeared all over that. There we go. So that, because it's got 2 inks, I'm just going to pop that in water and hopefully I can get that cleaned up. And let's now glue it all together. Clean brush. Get off. Okay, so matte medium. Now the unfortunate thing is I'm going to use matte medium to glue everything down. Normally I just put matte medium over everything, but it's going to interfere with the interference. Look at that. So I'm going to, let me think. Do I want to put the Dragonfly on top of that or underneath? On top. So let's get this one down first. So we're playing chicken with the matte medium. We're going to see what gives in first. Are we going to, is the matte medium going to dry first, or is the paper going to tear? I guess I could put some down here and along the edge. Try not to pull it too much. A bit of a kink there, that's fine. Well, okay, that's not too bad. Then just use the brush to burnish it down. Try not to cover this stuff here. And what did I just do? I'm covering this, which has interference. But you know what? I just realized, just apply more interference if you lose the effect from the matte medium. Duh. Okay, that's a bit bumpy there. Got a bit of a wrinkle there. Come on. Oh, come on. There we go. So I'm not liking how I have that border like that. Not liking that. So now I have to think of what else could I do up there. I could probably put something else up there. But let's keep working. So Dragonfly there. Oh. Let's put that right there. Yeah, I'll have to put some more medium on this. And just keep pushing her down. And yes, I'm assuming the Dragonfly is a girl. When you have things underneath that, you know, there's a bit more difficulty with adhesion. That's when you have to really push. Now, what we can do, because I'm putting the matte medium here, and it's going to basically turn everything to a matte finish, when I put the interference back in, it's going to sit inside these holes, and maybe we'll get some type of really neat effect. So I just have to go back and forth to push this down to make sure we have adhesion. And now what I'm going to do, that quote will go right here. I'll put the quote there. Could I put the quote here? Need to do something in here. So what do I have in my box? If I have a box. What about little pieces of paper? No, I want that covered up. I want that completely covered up. So I'm thinking now I'll either have to go to put another strip of paper down, musical notes, or put ribbon. I'm thinking these musical notes might be nice. Oh, wait. I'm not going to edit this out because I want you guys to see how I get through this. Creativity takes courage, but we lose most of the quote. So I could take creativity takes... No, not that. But a quote would have been nice. Let's just work with the paper. Yeah, let's do that. So let's kill two birds with one stone. If I were to put the quote there on top of the music paper, then we have just the bottom to deal with. What could I do with the bottom? You can fast forward if you want to bypass all this. I'm going to go raid my other box there. I'm going to see if there's something else I can do with this. I am so silly. So if you're doing this as an artist trading card, yes, you can. You have to have a certain size, so you could fill it up. This is just some glitter sheet. You can put that on and cut it. It's not even close to where I want to go with this. This is small art, miniature art. I'm going to cut that off. How easy is that? The whole thing is just not to overthink it. Just going to trim off the edge. That had quite a bit of paper on it. And then I can square it up later. There we go. That is much better. So let's put this back in the pile there. And now I can put the D here, the quote here, or the quote here and the D here. It really doesn't matter how you want to do this. The quote is a little bit big, so I'm thinking I'm just going to put it here and then put the D right there. Done. Done, done, done. So let's just get that. Yeah, it was, after 10 minutes, I'm looking, going, wait a minute, this is just, I'm getting too caught up. Work with what you've got. Oh, I can hear the kids screaming outside. And then the D. The D you don't even have to put there if you don't want to, or a cutout. I just want to put the initials. This is stuff that I haven't used. And it actually is a nice balance. So the Dragonfly is leaning this way. I've got the quote there to stop it, and I've got the D in the corner. And all this white stuff sticking out, that is going to dry transparent. So what we can do, because we had matte medium on there, I'm going to take the interference, I'm going to apply another layer on it. And I'm looking here, you can still see a little bit of the interference, but where's my round brush? I'm going to use a round brush for this one. And I'm just going to put that on here. And I can take some more. The interference really stuck into those cracks, which looks really, really pretty. I don't want any on the quote. And the interference has a different effect for each of the layers of color. I can put a little bit more on there. And was a good thing that I did take the time, as I was taking the time looking for stuff, I was able to come back and forth and just keep pressing down on the Dragonfly to flatten it out. So done is better than perfect. So if you're finding you're looking for the perfect thing, you know what? Just move on. That's what I was stuck in that endless loop of I wanted to find something perfect for that instead of just working with what I had. Take the rest of those, put them inside. You could also use a heavy gloss. Once this is dry, you can also put heavy gloss medium or even varnish, glossy varnish in these little holes. And you can then let that dry or wipe it back, like wipe the surface back. That way it'll just be the gloss inside these holes. You can do that as well. There's so many different things that you can do. Just a reminder though that if you are giving away stuff, unless you're working in a swap or something and you're giving away art like just for fun, then yeah, you can use DIY supplies in that. But if you're actually selling these or giving them away as heirloom pieces, please use actual art products, because you don't want the thing to fall apart, you know, a year or two down the road, because DIY stuff sometimes it doesn't last, or it yellows or cracks or whatever. So these will take a little bit of time to dry, but when we finish up the video, when this is dry, I'll actually have this, I'll take a picture of this so you guys can see what it looks like. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed this and ignored all my antics of trying to work around it. And I would love to see your rendition. So if you're watching this from YouTube, please click the link in the description below and go over to the Facebook group, because that's where I'm doing all my feedback and follow-ups. And post your picture there. And if you're watching this from the Facebook group, yay. When you post your picture, please write down as well what type of feedback you're looking for. Just don't post your picture and leave it, because then we don't know what you're looking for. So post some feedback, what you want, whether you want help with a certain technique, or let's say you have this, that, and the other, but you're looking for a substitute for something else. And, you know, put some context to your image, and then we'll know exactly what you're looking for. So I'm looking forward to seeing your pieces. And I'm going to, once this has tacked up a little bit, I'm just going to wipe off the top part. But I will post a picture of my finished piece after it's dried. I'm going to give this a good couple of hours to dry before I take a picture of it. All right, there we go. So everywhere where the interference is nice and thick, I'm hoping it's going to have a good hologram effect. All right, that's it. I'm going to clean up and get ready for my next project. So until I see you next time, stay inspired.